And a pleasant Monday to you here on Lone Star Live. We are live at Lone Star Park alongside Rick Lee. Special Monday appearance for Rick. He's not always here on Monday. Thanks for joining us.
It's good to be here.
I'm Jim Byers. We are fast and firm to start. There is a cold front coming, which will be great for fans of slightly cooler weather. Could bring some rain. Hopefully not until we're done racing. We could use the rain. We've got a big day of turf racing coming up this Sunday. Special 205 first post, by the way, this Sunday here at Lone Star Park. We wrap up that day's card with turf stakes, so we could use a little bit of rain as long as it doesn't affect today and gets out of here well in advance of when we resume racing, which it should.
It should. Let's hope so.
On to today's offerings. We've got 9 races today. Carryover in that first race, Super High Five. It's up to $5,192 and not very many previous High Five races. Scratch the main track only out of the first, number 9, Free Running. Non-winners of 2 claimers. I really saw this, Rick, as basically a 2-horse race. Yesterday I said that about a race involving, or maybe it was the day before, involving Siamese, and it turned out to be correct, even though the wagering public made Siamese a co-second choice with another horse. It did turn out to be kind of a 2-horse race. This one, I think, is between Chris's Wildcat and Patriots War. We'll see if it turns out that way.
Yeah, I like Chris's Wildcat off a pace advantage. I think this 6-year-old, will get to the front off some sprint races. I know his last sprint, he didn't break especially well, and he was taken back, and he rallied, finished fast here on June 6th as the 9-5 favorite. That was against allowance rivals. So you have a stretch out, a significant drop in class. He has tried 2 turns a couple of times previously, once at Del Mar, once at Santa Anita. So obviously, connections believe he can go this far. This is an abbreviated route, 7.5 furlongs. I think he's the one to catch. And Diodoro has been on a good run for the last month. The Patriots War, Jim's top pick, is my second pick. I love the versatility. He breaks last May 13th and finishes up well to be third best. The runner-up, Glass Eater, did come back to win. That was at this same condition. They went up in class, and he went to the front this next time out. And, again, very competitive, lost a late lead to be third best, now back down for $15,000 for Broberg. And then I thought Gold Vermilion, who's only a 3-year-old, but he took on older for the first time in his career, May 15th here at Lone Star in a maiden 20, was a clear winner at 4-5. And it looks to me, based on his early speed, his buyer figures, he could certainly get a piece of this.
Yeah, no, I've got him as a third pick as well. I'm not overly confident in Patriots War, but I gave him a slight edge over Chris's Wildcat. If Chris's Wildcat runs back to his 2020 races in Southern California, I think he's gone here. I'm just not sure what his style is. I mean, he was kind of a stalker-type sprinter on turf, and then he did close good ground last time. A couple of his 2-turn turf races last year at Del Mar and Santa Anita, I think would destroy this field. If he can run back to those, he's going to be very tough. It's hard to go against Diodoro these days. But the thing about Patriots War, I thought he got a very curious trip last time. I mean, he pressed outside of another horse, and then he wound up in between horses, and he was under pressure the whole way. He gets to go a little shorter today. I don't know. To me, he's a tentative choice. I liked him more when I made the selections than I do today. But when I made the selections, I didn't have a couple of days where I overlooked or picked against some really solid favorites. And now that I've picked against a couple of solid favorites in these last 2 days, I'm less confident picking against a horse that's 4-5 in the early wagering. So we'll see. Being lack of confidence, as we were saying before we hit the air, is not necessarily a good thing. They say scared money never wins in betting, and an unconfident handicapper probably isn't going to go very far either. But I had confidence when I handicapped the card, so we'll see. Second race, we've got some video. What I want to show here is Millwood, who is our top pick here, faced Ellich last time out on May 30th, and Ellich was actually slightly favored. I wish we could pick it up a little bit before that. Yeah, let's see if we can pick it up a little bit before that, because at this point the action has kind of already occurred. What we're going to watch for is watch the upper part of the split screen. Millwood is going to be outfitted in the Broberg red with the lime cap. We can roll it from here. Ellich is in the Ellich is fifth or sixth rather. Millwood is seventh, coming up on the outside there in that third flight with the Broberg red. Look how easily he goes by Ellich here in the upper part. He just kind of blows right by him. Ellich is under urging. Millwood's just kind of set down for the drive here. And Millwood's going to go on and win this race and win it quite convincingly by a little more than 2 lengths while Ellich checks in fourth. What I liked, though, Rick, was around the turn, it just looked like Millwood was going so much easier under Louis Q, and he did it from way off the pace. Now they come back today, and there's no reason Ellich, who was very sharp going into that race, can't run well again. But I went with Millwood in here, and I see that you did as well. In fact, you don't even have Ellich as your second selection.
No, this is a good race. I mean, it really is. Millwood ran a terrific race last time, lost all the ground, and would just confidently cruise to victory. That's his third win in a row. He won consecutive races at Louisiana Downs before shipping here on May 30th to win again, as you said, from Broberg. 8 of his 22 wins on the main track, so he's winless on turf. I mean, really consistent two-turn form on the main track, and I think he's got a solid chance to win right back. The 7 in here, Paddock Pick, I like him as a wire-to-wire threat in here. You can look at his two-turn races over the January, February, and March at Houston and Delta. Those are strong buyer figures earned there. Last time out in a sprint, kind of a sprint tune-up, they went 45, and he was part of the pace battle there. Just beaten 2 lengths, was claimed by Scott Gellner. Gellner and Luzzy did win the first race yesterday, and I just feel like this is a dangerous horse on the engine today. The 2, Ellich, as you mentioned, or Ellich, he had won 2 in a row. A dull performance last time out, no question about that. But, you try not to hold that against a horse because, he's 8 years old. He knows the drill. He's an 11-time winner. I could easily see him having a good day today.
Millwood is an interesting case because he ran on May 25th and then right back on May 30th. And I wondered if that was, plus there was a van ride from Bossier City mixed in. Didn't matter. He won his 3rd straight. Now he's going for his 4th straight. But I like the fact he's had 3 weeks to kind of get acclimated and whatnot. So I'm going to give him a shot here to win his 4th in a row. I've had mixed results this year, bouncing back and forth, but between whether I should pick a horse that's on a big win streak or not. Sometimes I've jumped on them on win streaks and I've ended their win streak, and other times, like yesterday with that Canadian Ginger, I think, how can they have another good race in them, and they just crank out another one. But I went with Ellich as a second pick. I'm intrigued by Bowsen as a 3rd choice here. This horse put up a really high buyer at the $5,000 level. Claimed away from Broberg. Comes back here. Don't know much about the trainer. He doesn't have much in the way of statistics, but I really like the way he did it. And he was really sharp for Broberg. Just have a feeling that he likes the mile. And off that last race, it was pretty impressive. We'll see how he handles. I know you're quite keen to these barn switches with hot horses. They don't generally tend to maintain that when they switch environments.
Yeah, I and Atomic Candy, watching the replay, Millwood caught him in the final 100 yards. So if Millwood doesn't get that same type of pace setup, Atomic Candy to me is somewhat interesting too.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting race. On to the 3rd. Non-winners of 3 Texas breds in here. And, we talked about the Broberg keeping both halves of an entry in theory yesterday, which I have no stats to back up, but it seems like when he keeps both of his entry mates in, at least one, if not both, tend to run well. And that happened yesterday when Backshot didn't really run much, but Bible Man just ran his eyeballs out. Well, here he's got both Theorist and Texas Crossbow, and Goncalves is going to ride Theorist. And Cabrera's going to ride Texas Crossbow, but we're not on the entry in this particular.
Yeah, they both can win. I like both of them, both of the Broberg's entries, but I like the 2 Silver and Aces a little bit more. He was a clear winner at this distance, clearing that non-winners at 2 condition at Houston. His last 2 races at Lone Star Park at this same non-winners at 3 state bred condition produced second place finishes. One behind Doc's Class Act, who's been a red-hot horse. And then he was beaten only one length on May 30th, lost a lot of ground circling horses at the, late on the turn. I think he's in really good form for Gustafson, and I'm going to take Silver and Aces. Again, the entry, good things to say about both of them. Both have tactical speed. And then let's go to the 3 Moro Appeal, who finished just one length and a quarter to be exact, behind the top pick of mine, Silver and Aces, in that May 30th race. Showed good speed that day. Looks like he's slowly improving, and to me that's important because when you go to his form last year at Lone Star Park and at Gillespie, as a matter of fact, those buyer figures there are above what these horses are running in today's race. So if he's actually getting back to that form that he showed last summer, then I think Mindy Willis can post a mild upset.
Mindy's stable has gotten very hot, as well as evidenced yesterday by a horse that you had, I think, 4-1 on the line in favorable outcome in that great sprint feature, and he ran very nicely, and fans let him go at 15-1. But Mindy's really heating up. The only question, I have the same picks in the same order. The only question I have is Theorist. It says he worked at LAD June 12th, 48-2 breezing, and then he shipped here and worked on June 14th? Yeah. Why would they do that?
Yeah, that's a mistake.
Somebody aired either. Somebody aired somewhere along the line. I don't think he worked on June 12th and June 14th at tracks 180 miles apart.
No.
That's just a theory on my part.
Yeah, I can't prove it, but that's not something Carl would do, so exactly. I don't buy that.
On we go to the 4th. This race begins the 6-shooter, 34,606 in the 6-shooter carryover, 5/8 on the turf, and a maiden special. And this race really caused me to wonder, is this your best? No, this isn't your best long shot, is it?
It is, yeah, it is.
Okay, it's not bolded on your picks today.
Oh.
But pretend that He's a Bomb is bolded on Rick's sheet. This might be a good one to go with a long shot because Mr. Was just a tremendous disappointment last time, and now he tries a new surface. Divinium, to me, is a toss-up because who knows? He's been off, but so you're going with He's a Bomb.
Yeah, I like the back-to-back second-place finishes. I like that they've tried to get him on turf, and both times the races were taken off. He's very quick, and Brad's time was a very impressive debut winner for Diodoro in that race, so just based on that. And Cowgirl and Up, if I remember, I made this note a week ago, but I think he was a turf stakes placed mare, so at least on the bottom side of the pedigree. And when you see Warfront on the top, so top and bottom for turf, it's kind of a 299 number there. It seems like it should be a little higher based on that, but nevertheless, I think He's a Bomb, has a good chance to, hit the board or maybe win the race. Mr. As you mentioned, huge pace figures. First time out, narrowly beaten by an Asmussen horse, Bordeaux Red. Last time out, he's 1-2 odds and faded late. They're trying turf, which gives them a chance to run a race at 5/8 of a mile as well. I don't know. Maybe I could have laid him a little higher odds than 7-5, but he was 1-2 last time. He's got terrific speed and the best of connections, so I thought he could be bet down significantly. So there you have it. Divinium, tough call here. Very good early speed, and remember those races he was a 2-year-old, so he's terrific pedigree. He fired fresh at Keeneland, finishing 3rd. That race, I think people just look at that race as a 2-year-old. Fast forward to June of his 3-year-old campaign, already has proven speed. And he has a bit of turf pedigree to him, too. So Divinium, to me, should take money and should run a terrific race.
Yeah, I went with him on top. Not a very confident pick, really. This race is one of those where it's hard to get overly confident. He went on Lasix in that Fairgrounds race on January 2nd. Still didn't run very well, but he's had some time to mature and develop. It'll be second-time blinkers, second-time Lasix off the layoff. You got to love the into mischief aspect when you're getting onto the turf. I took him over Mr. Just to guard against Mr. Running the way we thought he was going to run. We all loved him last time. And, boy, he laid a pretty big egg. I mean, just to run seventh out of 9. I mean, it's one thing to fade, but I mean, he dropped right off the map. See You Later Gator is a horse that I showed a video on. We'll see if the one race delayed video charm works. See You Later Gator was bet down to a little under 6-1 last time, showed really good speed going 5.5 because he had a brutal trip on May 6th here on the turf. Keeps Ramon Vasquez. He's my third pick over He's a Bomb. You have He's a Bomb. I have Remember Me Tony later. We're both on long-time maidens today to try to lose their best friend. But so See You Later Gator could scrimmage with them early possibly here today.
Yeah, this is like vulnerable, heavy favorites in this race. I mean, the two horses I made favorite, they both have terrific speed and best of connections. I just feel like they're both vulnerable. So good race to maybe take a shot.
Well, your best long shot has been pretty much a guaranteed winner lately, so I would pay a lot of attention to that. On to the fifth. I wrote low pace figs on this one, meaning some horses that aren't necessarily going to blaze a hole in the wind. Scratch the 4, Sweet Baby Shea. Scratch the 7, Lily Get Your Gun, who I couldn't make sense out of at all. I ended up picking against her, but we don't have to worry about it because she's out. No show, no super on this particular race. And now She's a Hunk is going to be one of those that I don't like to get stuck with, although I did pick her initially, because she was hard to load last time. She's been a maiden for a while, and she's at this low level, and she's going to be a super short price.
Yeah, I mean, her buyer figures are 5 lengths faster than anything's been able to run. Exits a second-place finish. Cabrera comes back, second time for trainer Mike Netherland, though he did run a terrific race for Paul Pearson, 3 races ago in the mud. The winner the last time, Constitution Girl, was, I don't remember the price, but it's probably odds on if I remember.
She was a very short price and looked pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, she's,
Yeah, she had that field over a barrel,
yes.
So She's a Hunk. Ran a really nice race. So we'll certainly take her here. The 2, Not Enough Bling, did finish second last time out, going a mile. That was the race where Virginia Strong was the only horse that looked like had any stamina whatsoever. Everyone else was just a sprinter trying, rolling the dice that they might go that far. Not Enough Bling at least led into deep stretch, cutting back to probably a better distance for her. But again, this is a typical turn back horse. You got to respect it, 7/8 of a mile, especially when you look at the field in today's race here. And the 5, Wimbledon's Gold, who, might like the distance. I mean, the horse has been making mild rallies, at 6 and 5 1/2 furlongs, 7 furlongs again. And this company does have 9 in the money finishes. I know this mare is 0 for 27, but you could easily see this field, looking for a little relief at the 8th pole, and Wimbledon's Gold does tend to finish.
I filled in once at Fair Meadows during my days as a hockey announcer and called a race where a horse was 0 for, I think, 25 or 26 and won by double-digit lengths. So everybody finds a field they can win at occasionally. And I'm going to hope Remember Me Tony finds one later on today. But, yeah, this is one of those where, I don't know, I like She's a Hunk. Showed some pretty good determination to hold on to second last time behind Constitution Girl. I didn't like the fact that she was very hard to load. I really, it's almost an automatic throw out the next time they come back. Although Whole Lot of Mo was as hard to load or harder to load yesterday than he was in his career debut. Now, he's a 2-year-old, and he didn't need to worry about it because the final 3/16, he just mowed them down. So
yeah, I meant to mention that. That horse earned a solid figure of 59, which I only bring that up because that validates the huge number of the Asmussen gun runner that won and got that 81 where everyone said, oh, that's the ties for the fastest buyer in the country for a 2-year-old filly. Now we got to wait for Fincher to come back. I mean, I can't wait for Fincher's maiden to come back out of that race.
I think Wicked Halo is the name of the Asmussen gun runner that ran that big number, and Whole Lot of Mo validated that.
Validated the number in a big way, I think.
On to the 6th race, Texas bred maiden special weights going 7.5. And this is an interesting race because you got a lot of favorable handicapping trends working in favor of 'Cause I'm Divine. And yet the state bred maiden special weight level, especially when you start, going on to turf, which is new for some of these, can introduce some interesting variables. But a lot of positive signs for the first career training win that it would be for Mary Saavedra if she's able to tighten the girth on the winner here.
Yeah. We had a trainer or two that, found the winner's circle yesterday, and hopefully Mary, gets it done today. The stars are aligned. If this filly, if she doesn't win today, I'm not so sure she'll win a race.
I won't pick her back. If she runs second, I'm going to go somewhere else next time, that's for sure.
For sure. I mean, she's in a state-bred maiden special weight race. She's been running in open special weights and some open maiden claiming races. The Beyer figures on turf are clearly fastest. Gets a good rider. I mean, just in this company, you like the fact you've had a 5/8 breeze since her last start, proving, she's fit and ready to go. So calls on Divine. This has got to be her day. Landon's Congo has finished second and back in third once, second most recently in a maiden special weight race. Both of those 1 mile races were on dirt. The pedigree looks, for Texas bred, that's decent turf pedigree. We're going to assume that she's going to run a good race today from close to the lead. And speed does hold well on this turf course. So, maybe this will be a positive change for this 4-year-old filly. Trinity Queen finished third last time out. First time ever on turf. Made it to the front, though had to battle for that all the way to the wire, finishing third. Once again, gets a break in the weight with the apprentice rider aboard. And, she, too, in a race loaded with question marks. And Glenn Voorhees, he is the trainer that got off the duck yesterday.
He did.
He's the trainer of this 5 Trinity Queen.
And that was a good pick by you. Took a little courage to pick Hello, Hello, Mister yesterday, only because, the horse had kind of a bizarre debut.
Mm-hmm.
Rider got off. They changed riders once the field was on the track. Then the horse ran like a quarter horse for half of a race and then stopped and came back yesterday and actually won from a chasing position. But nonetheless, I would be remiss if I just knocked a horse in the previous race for being hard to load and picked the horse anyway, and she's a hunk, and didn't mention that Cause I'm Divine was really hard to load last time and got stuck in the gate next to somebody who was also a terrible gate actor. So that didn't help either. I forget the name of the horse that she was next to last time in the gate. But once Cause I'm Divine got in there and got fractious, and a separate incident entirely, the horse next to her was fractious. They got to cut that behavior out with her. She's probably not going to, she isn't a real good breaker to begin with. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention that. The one filly that I'm going to mention as a fourth pick is the 4 Amante de Serra, who is, if you look down to April 22nd, opening day here, Danny Pish dropped her, and a lot of people really liked her, and she was 6-5 or 8-5 that day, and really didn't do a whole lot, and since then has subsequently not done much. I just keep mentioning her because I think I think there's some talent there somewhere, and she's going to catch one of these fields that comes up soft one of these days and is going to win. And probably do it at a big price. And maybe Louis Q can get her to settle and rally. She did show glimmers of a rally last time.
Mm-hmm. Like he did with Millwood. That's what we need him to do with this one.
Exactly.
Then he got fired from Millwood, and someone else is back up today.
They put Aramia. Aramia, by the way, going for his 2,500th career win. And I think Richard probably won a ton of races. I think he's from Uruguay, is he not?
Yeah, and he did ride her at LAD when Millwood's 2 races at LAD were at with Aramia.
Yeah. But I'm kind of surprised Richard isn't already at 2,500, but that's just in the states that Equibase recognizes. I'm sure he'd won a bunch in South America. On to the 7th. 5.5. Scratch the horse I liked originally on top, the 9 Blings Bellwether. That leaves Lucky Promise is probably going to be kind of a short price. And I don't know. I kind of liked it when I was picking against Lucky Promise, but now I'm on his bandwagon because he's he's the horse I scratch into.
Yeah, I think Hewlin was a pretty big class dropper that beat him last time out for Asmussen, and then Blings Bellwether is a late scratch, so that puts Lucky Promise as clearly the one to beat. Back-to-back in the money finishes, has good tactical speed. He's always in a good position to win. Off the drop-in class, top connection, so, Lucky Promise is the one to beat. The 8, big one for trainer Steve Asmussen. At least in this Texas bred, 9 winners at 2 for 12.5. He did break his maiden in a maiden special weight race, 2 starts back. And then last time out, they tried to take on allowance rivals and was not disgraced. Had a wide trip and was beaten only 4 lengths. Now back in a state-bred condition claimer, easy to see big one running a really good race. And Daryl's Little Diablo is now my 3rd pick. First time running for a claiming price, I like that. Gets David Cabrera. That's awesome news as well. Did win a maiden special weight last summer at Lone Star Park by 2 1/4 lengths, and was mired in allowance races in 4 starts at Houston. So really dropping down in class, and this could be a decent day for Jaime Castellanos, actually.
I was just going to say the same thing, because you have He's a Bomb. I just mentioned Amante de Serra in the previous race, both Castellanos runners. I like Daryl's Little Diablo second in here. He's a very intriguing type of horse. He's been off a little bit, but he does show a nice half-mile breeze on June 13th. Some of his main track sprints have been okay. And, Lucky Promise started, really well last year, came out and beat Bobby Brinkley in his career debut, and then had a string of seconds. But, they obviously liked this horse at one time. He was in really much higher level races. Even as recently as March, ran in the Groovy against Silence Doro and Island Sun and Bobby Brinkley. He's working his way down. It's definitely his turn to win, but, he's 1 for 11, and he does have a tendency to not win. If he chooses today to continue that, then it could open things wide up.
Yep.
All right, on to the 8th. I think the distance is a little bit of a question for some of these maidens. These are maiden claimers, 7/8 of a mile. The horse that snapped an 0 for 17 was Moonshiner Boy is in the previous race. Moonshiner Boy was a horse that was 0 for 17, broke his maiden last time going 7/8. He finally found a field to his liking, and Moonshiner Boy, I couldn't use him in the picks in the previous race. But the Moonshiner Boy of this race might be Remember Me Tony, who's been one that's been running reasonably competitively in maiden special weights and higher level races, and now drops to a winning spot. I don't know. You're going with a horse that in past years I would have been an automatic picker of in Proud Nation, just because of the connections and everything else. So, we'll see. If he's the horse he looked like he might be 2 or 3 years ago, he wins easily.
Yeah, I'm pretty safe he's probably not that horse. But I think there's a lot of contention in here. I put All or Nothing when I put Proud Nation as my top pick. I really feel like he's going to dust this bunch if Steve has him ready to win. Or, Steve owns a horse. He's been off for over a year. Just put him out to pasture. He must think he has a win or two left in him. I got to believe. I don't think Steve has to win a maiden 12-5. What good does that do him? But nevertheless, his best race wins. But, I wouldn't take a short price on him for certain. The others in here, like Remember Me Tony, 0 for 15. That's not good, but he's hit the board every race at Lone Star Park on the main track. And it looks like his dirt races are better than his turf races. So if you just isolate those, 0 for 15, that's just something you got to get past. BWP Special is another one. He keeps losing close races. He's been heavily bet in all those races as well. So, maybe he's kind of, he might make an easy lead. That might be the reason I would give him another chance. And Party of 15, we mentioned Anthony Airy was a terrific quarter horse trainer. When I first came to Texas, his horse finishes well. So I could see 7/8. He might really like 7/8 of a mile. And he was 3-2 when he finished third last time out. So there's no reason to think Party of 15 is not a major player either.
He had the Steve Asmussen, Stuart Elliott connection thing helping his price dip probably last time. He was claimed by Airy away from Asmussen.
Right.
I've got him as a 4th selection. BWP Special just kind of wore me out last time. I really thought that was his chance to win, and he ran fine, but I kind of got a belly full of him, so I thought, what else can I do here? And Proud Nation, he ran into Mr. Money in his career debut 3 years ago. Mr. Money has made $1.3 million for Calhoun. And then he ran into Intrepid Heart, who's graded stakes placed in a maiden race at Hot Springs in February of 19. But boy, he is, and you talk about putting a guy out to pasture. He only shows 2 works, so he obviously was at a layup at a training center or farm or somewhere. Steve's only had this horse, in training here for a couple of half-mile breezes. I don't know if that might be kind of scary. That means the horse could be working like crazy in Laredo or who knows where, and we just don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
So I took Remember Me Tony as the upshot of that. I never would have picked an 0 for 15 a couple of years ago. Maybe I'll swear off. But, I think his 0 for 15, he's been fairly competitive against, this basic bunch.
Yeah.
And he does take a drop.
Yeah. Well, in 2 weeks, you might say, I'm not going to pick an 0 for 16.
Oh, yeah, I could definitely go back on
Lord.
that philosophy of being more open-minded. That's
This is another opportunity for Remember Me Tony, though. On paper, at least, he's a major player.
Ninth and final is a really intriguing race, 7.5 on turf. We talk about this a lot, but I genuinely think this is a wide open type race.
Yeah, you make picks, you do a line 7 days in advance, and you come back. I picked Empire of the Nile, which I'm very comfortable with his first-time starter. I wish I wouldn't have made him 6-1. I think he'll take more money than that. That's all I'm saying. The Dam was a multiple graded stakes winner, Molly Morgan, out of Pioneer of the Nile. They paid a lot of money. 5/8 of a mile breezes in January at Fairgrounds. My note is foundation. I mean, this 3-year-old's got to be super fit.
Yeah, he's worked
really
from
good
here
works.
to New Orleans over the past 8 months or 6 months with all these works. I mean, string those works together.
Yeah,
he's got a foundation under him.
Yeah, and I think the favorites in here, the horse I made favorite, they show some vulnerabilities for sure. POTUS, who, I know it's Asmussen. You see Gulfstream, Keeneland, Churchill Downs,
Shug
in the
McGahee.
PPs, Shug McGahee.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think that's going to attract money. I did make that horse 4-1, though. I didn't think the horse would get slammed at the gate. And then Black Rock Castle is like a lot of other horses you see as a handicapper, earns strong figures, is always right there at the wire. But again, just not showing a willingness to win. And therefore, I thought this race was tailor-made for Empire of the Nile. I do know Calhoun's got Carpe Eros, who also, is a contender in here from the inside post position. Good race. I mean, this is a very competitive race, and it's a full field. So, super race for the super high five.
I'm glad you mentioned Carpe Eros because I picked him. I think I did. I picked him last time, and he was 5-1 on May 14th. It was his first race back off a layoff in a race against this sort of bunch, this maiden special weight, 2-turn race bunch. And he was kind of like you might expect a horse that had been off since August. And since then, he's had some works. I think he might be overlooked in here. You got Ramon Vasquez, you got Calhoun. I'm regretting now not putting him in my picks a little bit more prominently because I think he's gonna be prominent. But I went with Empire of the Nile too. The pedigree doesn't scream out turf. Pioneer of the Nile, he's had some turf winners, but last time I looked on the Blood Horse Turf Sires list, he's like 35th. So I mean, he's Pioneer of the Nile. Molly Morgan, like you mentioned, I mean, she was a Grade 1 winner on the dirt. Won the La Troyenne. She was 0 for 5 on the turf. There isn't much turf in his pedigree on the dam side, but I don't care about that. I mean, I'm going to give him a shot. It's an ambitious spot for his debut, but I'm going to give him a shot. It's interesting that Calhoun goes with Luzzy. Love the connections, but they are 0 for 13 together. So, Luzzy doesn't tend to ride a lot for Calhoun with his, but I mean, maybe this is an opportunity. I mean, it's interesting that Calhoun goes with Vasquez for Carpe Eros. But I mean, you can't go wrong with Lane Luzzy. I mean, he's a tremendous rider.
I guess one of the things that concerns me a little bit, other than Luzzy, I think that doesn't bother me so much. The horses he's high on from the Fairgrounds go to Kentucky, and the horses Calhoun has at Houston come here. So I don't know. Martin Racing though they have quality horses, and they tend to come out win. I have mixed signal, but I think he'll be a decent price, and it's worth it. It's worth it to me.
And the other partner, Bob Gorski, he has run some horses here this meet. So I think it's worth a shot because with Black Rock Castle, he ran a really nice race last time. And, and I'm not bragging, but I've knocked myself today for missing a couple of picks this week. I picked Directional in that race, and I think he was like 9-2 or 5-1 in June 4th that Black Rock Castle ran second in. So I was intrigued by that race, and Black Rock Castle ran a nice race. But he always runs a pretty nice race. Somebody tends to beat him. I think he's the horse to beat, especially at a shorter distance than that mile and a 16th. Evie's Prince comes from out of it. he's run some nice races too.
Yep.
He's going to need things to break his way. POTUS, I mean, what can you say? I mean, he's been. You got to think hasn't been with Steve very long because he was training at Keeneland until June 15th. I don't know when Steve took over the training of this horse. I mean, he may have had him 5 minutes, or he may have had him in Kentucky. I don't know, but so we'll see about him. I think if the race were a mile and a 16th or a mile and an eighth, I might be a little bit higher on POTUS. But he doesn't seem to have much going for him at this distance. These short distances, these 7.5 turf distances, I want somebody that's a little bit closer to the pace, it seems like. And then Carpe Eros is the real intriguing one to me. The rest of them, to me, I'll be shocked. But we'll see.
Well, I want Empire Nile to be sent away from there because I don't think there's a whole lot of speed in here.
Yes.
So, so call me, Brett Calhoun, if you want some advice. Let's get this thing. let's send this thing to the front.
Well, we talked a lot about that 9th race, but I think it arguably is the most intriguing race on the card.
Oh, yeah, outstanding race.
All right. Well, it's interesting that one way I've expanded as a handicapper is I'm picking those firsters in these races with horses with experience more than I used to, and that's partially because of your influence and going 2 turns. Ambitious spot for that horse, but we've seen some well-bred and promising horses. They can jump up and win.
Yeah, it's a new year at Lone Star. There's definitely our quality of horses up this year, and I'm very thankful.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for making the drive in today, and thanks for looking in on our Monday card, and good luck.